Chairs No Waiting, episode number 820, Andy Forecloses. Two Chairs No Waiting is brought to you each week by the folks over at WeaversDepartmentStore.com. Drop by over at Weavers. Guys, if you want one, you got to go right now and get you a 2025 Mayberry wall calendar. They were sold out, but Mrs. Weaver is ordering a few extra, but there's not going to be many, so go order it now or you might miss out. While you're over there, check out the Mayberry Cityscape enamel mug. It's a really cool mug with a whole cityscape of Mayberry. You might want to get a Mayberry family, I don't know what they're called, wooden block. Their decorations are sitting around the house. Head over to WeaversDepartmentStore.com and check it out. Two Chairs No Waiting is also brought to you by donations from listeners like you. The executive producer of episode number 820 is Jim Sherrill. So, Jim, thank you for supporting Two Chairs No Waiting, and thank you for being here with me as well. I'm Allan Newsome, the host of Two Chairs No Waiting, and believe it or not, I have performed on a stage. I have, with Don Knotts and Betty Lynn and George Lindsay. So that gives me some credibility, I guess. So anyway, I am so glad. I'm a huge Andy Griffith Show fan, just like you are. So we've been going through the last few weeks here, a year nearly, I guess, going through different episodes of the Andy Griffith Show. We finally made it to the 28th episode of the series. It's still the first season. We haven't made it out of the first season. And I started these reviews in 2024. And this is the first, I guess, full week of 2025. But we'll keep running through them until I can get through them all, I hope. At some point we'll make it out. So we're going to go through Andy Forecloses this time. Now, you remember that episode, I'm sure. Just a short rundown of it. So if you don't remember, it's the 28th episode of the first season. It was both aired and filmed as the 28th episode. The short summary of it is Ben Weaver is up to his, Scrooge-like tactics again. This time he's out to evict the Scobey family from their home, but he's foiled by some of Andy's patented reverse psychology. So that's that kind of, now you remember it, right? You remember the Scobies and all that kind of stuff. That's what it's about. So we're going to go through, kind of review that episode, hit some odd facts known by a few that you may not be aware of. Then we'll do some trivia that's going to be related to this episode. So good luck with the trivia. I don't think it's super hard, but I hope you're going to enjoy it. So let's get started here. Let's see. I should probably get us some background music. Y'all would like that to cover up me talking all the time. Perhaps that would be a good idea. So let's do this one. There we go. A little background music just behind the scenes. So guys, this episode is as I said, it's the 28th episode aired of the Andy Griffith Show. It was filmed as the 28th episode and aired as 28th. For those that might not know, sometimes they were aired in a different order than they were filmed in. So this one actually originally aired on January, February, March, April the 24th, 1961. My notes say 4/24/61. Sad I had to count that up. But that's when it was, April 24th, 1961. It was written by Ben Gershon and Leo Solomon. The director was Bob Sweeney. Bob Sweeney was the director. So this episode actually starts off with Andy coming into the courthouse and Barney's in there doing something. And Andy starts wanting to look at Barney's book, his ticket book. And Barney's like, well, no, I'll do something with it later. Because Barney sticks it in his cap. If you remember, he immediately sticks it up into his cap and he says, I'll file it later. And Andy says, well, when? Well, when I'm not busy. Andy, you're not doing anything right now. So basically, Andy said, here, let me see that. He comes over there. And this is the episode, if you ever try to remember, when Barney starts complaining about Andy touching his hat. I don't like people to touch my hat, Andy. This is when this is. Now, I don't have a good way of remembering when that is because I don't know. It doesn't totally tie into the episode. So it makes it kind of hard for me to remember that little tidbit. But don't touch my hat, Andy. Don't touch my hat. I don't like people to touch my hat. My mother was the same way. That's this particular episode. Anyway, so Barney, he finally gets the ticket book, and as he starts going through it, he finds out that there's something in the ticket book that, it's not a ticket. Oh, would you looky here? It's Juanita Beasley. So they start going through that whole conversation about Juanita, who works over at the Junction Cafe, and Barney, he goes, why have you got this in here? Well, because sometimes you just do a trouble check. He said, when was the last time you did a trouble check? Yesterday. Oh, well, you haven't done a trouble check today? Well, we need to do a trouble check. So Andy ends up calling on the phone and starting the trouble check anyway, and hands it to Barney. And then Barney starts talking to Juanita. Oh, Mrs. Beasley, this is Deputy Fife. Barney. I was just wondering how everything was going over there. Yeah, Barney, I can't talk right now. The sheriff's listening. All right, well, I was just doing a trouble check. All right, no trouble there. And he hangs up the phone. And this is where that line comes from. Life ain't all sheriff work or police work. I'm sure not getting that right. Anyway, Andy says, I knew that, but I didn't know you did. Well, then Ben Weaver comes walking in and starts to talk to Andy. And he tells Andy he wants to do a foreclosure on the Scobeys. So here's where the actual meat of the episode gets started here. Andy is going to have to foreclose on the Scobeys. Andy said, well, you don't want to do that, Ben. Their Scobeys are good people. He said, I am the property owner, and it's up to me. And your job is to serve foreclosures. Is that not true? Andy says, well, yeah. And Ben basically says, well, I need you to do that. And he says, well, it's going to take me a little while to get the paperwork together, Ben. Ben says, all right, well, I'll be back later. So he leaves, and Andy and Barney are like, man, this is terrible. The Scobeys are such good people. What are you going to do? And he says, well, I'm going to head over there and get the other side and see what's going on. So Andy heads over to the Scobeys' house. He finds them in the floor, fixing a chair. If you remember, Lester is working on a chair, fixing up the chair, and his daughter is right there with him. It's helping him fix it up. And Andy begins to talk to her because she has lost her teeth, and she goes into the whole conversation that both Opie and her have been losing teeth, and everybody makes fun of them. And he basically tells her not to worry about that. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about this person in a little while that plays this character. And in this particular episode, I guess she's playing, she's Mary Scobey, I do believe is the right name. Let me make sure I'm getting that right. Yes, Mary Scobey is what her name is in this particular episode. And basically she and Opie are in the same class together and everything. So, but that's Joy Ellison who plays this role. So we'll discuss her a little more in some of the odd facts. So the Scobeys are nice folks, and so they're having a hard time. They're down on their luck. They've missed one payment in their mortgage, and Ben's gonna foreclose on the house because of one missed payment in all these years. I only missed one. But even though they've not got the money to pay their mortgage, they offer Andy some coffee and some cookies and everything. And of course, the daughter is basically going to have to gum the cookies because she has no teeth. And Andy says, you ought to dip that in something to keep from bruising those gums. So they go through the whole conversation and get the side of Lester that, he's just missed the payments. And he said, you're going to have to evict me, Andy? He said, well, we'll figure it out. So we go back to the courthouse, and Andy and Barney are there gathering money together. It's going to be their little secret to pay the $50 or so that the Scobeys owe. Well, when they try to give him the money, Ben doesn't want the money. He doesn't want the money. He wants them evicted. And Andy's like, well, is this because you want to build that warehouse over there? You know, and he says, it doesn't, never you mind. Your job is to get them out of there. So Andy and Barney are obviously upset, but Barney pulls out his gun and reaches in his holster, and he says, what are you doing? He said, I'm starting to save the Scobey fund. So he takes money out of his holster. He ends up taking money out of his sock and out of his hat, and they start the Save the Scobey fund, and they begin to talk about how they could do a rummage sale and everything. Well, Aunt Bee walks in about that time, and they start talking to her about it and everything. And she thinks, oh, yeah, I can gather out there together for such a worthy cause. And Barney and Andy leave, and she's still in the courthouse. And she goes, what worthy cause? What are we doing? So then just a little bit later, we see Andy, who has gone over to the library to get some books on mortgage law and stuff to make sure he's dotting all the I's and crossing the T's and seeing if there's a way out for the Scobies. Well, Ben comes back over to the courthouse, and in the meantime, Ben has heard about what they're doing with this rummage sale to try to save the Scobies. And Andy's like, oh, well, did you come over here to make a donation? Yeah, that'd be great. And of course, that just flusters Ben even more. And he's telling Andy, I want them out of there, and you're going to have to do it. Here's the $2 fee that I didn't pay. Why didn't you tell me that I need to pay it for you to be able to file that mortgage or the eviction and foreclosure? He said, well, you didn't ask me. That's what Andy said. So Ben is not happy about this. He knows people in the county, and he doesn't like it. Andy heads back over to the Scobies, starts talking to them, and finds out that Lester can't read without his glasses. Well, hey, this is a plan, because I'm sure your wife is going to be too busy to read it to you. Helen Scobey is going to be too busy because she's, ironing clothes for people and stuff like that, try to raise money. And Mary's too young to read it to him. So it's not just good enough that I give you the eviction notice. You have to have communicated, set up communications, and understood what is happening. So Andy heads back to the courthouse. Opie drops by, and Opie has brought a bag full of gifts items to provide to the rummage sale. And one of them is a pair of sunglasses that only has one eye in it. And he also brings him a roller skate that is completely broken. It needs to be repaired. And he brings him some kind of a toy gun that is a rifle that the barrel is completely bent into a U shape. So this is no good. But they're selling all kinds of items like that at the rummage sale. It's trying to raise money for the Scobies. Clara is there. And in this episode, Aunt Bee calls her Bertha, by the way. This is another one where she calls her Bertha instead of Clara. She's in there, and Aunt Bee's trying to sell her a really nice toaster, and then Clara basically says, don't you remember I'm the one that donated the toaster? Barney, in the meantime, is trying to sell a jacket that's really nice. It was imported into Mayberry, and the inside of the jacket was all tore up, if you'll remember. Then we have Rafe Hollister, or Jack Prince, the actor. Don't know the character name in here other than the fact that he was buying something as a rummage sale customer. But he was trying to buy something. He asked Andy what it cost, and he says, about $3. And he says, well, what is it anyway? And Andy says, well, if I knew that, it'd be $5. Sounds like a deal to me. I always wanted one of those. I've always loved that. Anyway, they're raising money, selling stuff and everything, and Ben Weaver comes into the rummage sale, and they, of course, pick on him a little bit, saying, you want to buy something to support the Scobies? And Ben says, no, but I did go over to the Scobies' house and found out he had lost his glasses, so I read this to him, the eviction notice, every word, and made sure he understood the whole thing. You could say I established communications. So basically now Ben has gotten around that hurdle that Andy was trying to put in his way. And so Andy comes up with his final idea, which is really, does Ben even realize how mean he is? So Andy heads over to the Scobeys with Ben and says, "You're right, Ben. I've come around to your way of thinking, and let's get in here and get this thing done." So they go barging into the Scobeys' house pretty much. And as they get in there, Andy's really rude and mean to the Scobeys and saying, "Hey, get this stuff packed up. I want this junk out of here." And the Scobeys are like, "Well, we're not ready. Can I at least rent a wagon?" And Andy's like, "No." But Ben's going, "Well, yeah, that'd be okay." And Andy's going, "No, Ben, don't let them get to you. Don't let them get to you. These kind of people won't leave." And so then she asked to take, she's going to take a thing off the wall. And Andy says, "Oh, you can't take that. Nope, that's part of the said property. It's attached to real property. So it's become real property." And so she gets real upset and starts to cry. And Ben's like, "Well, wait a minute, Sheriff. They can take that." And she goes, "Ben, can't do that. Can't let her do that. That's real property." And she's crying. And Lester's trying to console her. And Andy's just going, "No." And Ben's going, "No, look here, Andy. I started these foreclosure proceedings, and I can stop them. So you have got to, I'm stopping it right now." So when Andy stops it, or Ben stops it, Andy walks over to the Scobeys, actually gives them their glasses, and kind of winks at them and smiles. And they realize Andy was teaching Ben a lesson, really. Showing him how mean he had really been. So Ben then sits down in the chair that the Scobeys had been fixing at the beginning, and Lester yells at him, "Hey, don't, watch out, Ben." And he sits in it, it collapses to the floor, and Ben gets up and says, that chair could kill somebody. "Where did you get that piece of junk anyway?" And Andy looks at the bottom of the chair, and it says, "Well, it says right here, Weaver's Department Store." That was so funny. So he tells Lester, "I'll send you another one tomorrow." He's going to send him a brand new chair. And so the end of the episode is Ben is dressed up in a fishing outfit. He's ready to go fishing. And Andy's like, "All right." Andy and Barney are there in the courthouse with Ben. And they say, "Well, why don't we drop by and get Lester Scobey?" And he said, "No, I don't want to do that." And he said, "I thought you settled everything with the Scobeys." He said, "Well, yeah, but I don't have to go fishing with him." And Andy says, "Oh, come on, Ben. Lester's a good fisherman." He said, "Well, it ain't that. If you want to know the truth, I can't afford to have him not be at the store. He's working over there." He said, and they're like, "Oh, Ben." He said, "How's he supposed to work off his debt if he don't have a job?" So he'd given him a job. And so he leaves the courthouse, and Andy's going, "All right, Barney, let's get ready to go." And Barney says he's not going to go either. Barney's going to stay at the courthouse. He's got things to do there at the courthouse, so he's going to stay there. So Andy said, "All right, well." So Andy leaves, and Barney slides around, sits down in the sheriff's chair. He picks up the telephone, and he starts to call somebody. And he's on the phone, and it's a Junction Cafe he's called. And Juanita answers. He goes, "Hello, Juanita." "Barn." But Andy sneaks back into the courthouse and walks right up behind him. And he's going, "Well, I don't know. I don't think I ought to do that." And "Well, if you want me to." So he starts singing, "Nita, Juanita." And then Andy, who's right behind him, starts, "Oh, no." He starts singing, and Barney flips around. Oh, my goodness. And that is how the episode ends. And so that's our episode. All right. So let me give you some odd facts known by a few about this particular episode. Okay. So just a minute or two into the episode, we get our very first mention of the never seen Juanita Beasley that we were just talking about. The new waitress over at the Junction Cafe, who Barney sees from time to time in later episodes. She's everybody's Juanita at some point, according to Andy. So Juanita's phone number, here's your little odd fact, is given as being, "Sarah, get me 142R." It's 142R is the phone number over at the Junction Cafe where Juanita works. By the way, the last name Beasley is used in several episodes during the Andy Griffith Show. Juanita Beasley in this particular episode. Goober Beasley was Goober's name originally, before he was a Pile. It changed. He was Goober Beasley. So maybe his real whole first name is Goober Beasley Pile. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe Beasley is his middle name. He could be. Maybe he's kin to Juanita too. We don't know that. But Goober Beasley, before he was a Pile. There was also a mention of Edgar Beasley, Lorraine Beasley, Charlie Beasley, and Andrew Beasley. So that Beasley last name was used quite often on the Andy Griffith Show. Sam Edwards. Sam Edwards is who plays Lester Muggins. So he's the husband of the family, the Muggins family. Sam Muggins and Margaret Carey and Joy Ellison, they are back in this episode from just a few episodes ago when they were the Muggins family. So they're the Scobeys in this episode, but there were 4 members of the Muggins family. We never see a son in this one, but they had a son at Christmas, which I don't know how long ago that was. That was episode number 11 of the Andy Griffith Show. This is number 28. So just, half a season or so before, this whole couple had been in the show they were all named Muggins, and now they're all named Scobey. So maybe they're in witness protection. I don't know, but that's just always been one of the little unusualness of the show, and we don't really know why the writers didn't remember the family's names and use the correct last names. We don't know how that happened, but that's what happened in this particular episode. So that's definitely an odd fact known by a few. Let's see. One of the 2 instances where Will Wright is Ben Weaver. So that's who plays Ben Weaver. His character, Ben Weaver, asked Andy to strictly enforce the law to the detriment of Sam Edwards' character. So, as I said, Lester, who is in this episode, and he was in the Christmas episode as well. Will Wright's character of Ben Weaver had asked Andy twice to enforce the law against Sam Edwards' family, basically. And here, Sam's playing Lester Scobey, who Ben wants to evict for missing a house payment so that he can foreclose on his house. But earlier in the season, on the Christmas story, Sam played Sam Muggins, who Ben wants jailed for moonshining. Even more interesting than that is both instances, Margaret Scobey, as I mentioned, Margaret Carey plays Sam's wife, Helen Scobey, and Bess Muggins. So the names changed. And Joy Ellison, the daughter, plays his daughter Mary Scobey in this episode, and Effie Muggins in the Christmas episode. It's really just not clear why this happened and why the same family had different family names. So I don't know. Will Wright, also Ben Weaver again, was the first of 3 actors to play Ben Weaver. After his death in 1962, the role was assumed by Toll Avery, and audiences came to assume that they were the sons and nephews of the original Ben Weaver. I never thought that myself, but that's what this write-up said. I always knew there was new Weavers. There was a different Weaver. So anyway, that was Toll Avery played Ben Weaver as well. So in an effort to keep the fund, as I'd mentioned as I was going through that, the Scobeys from being evicted, Barney started the Save the Scobey House Fund by taking money out of his holster, his sock, and his hat. So there's some little trivia you might want to remember. We talked about that earlier. A customer at the rummage sale says, and he's got a quote in the original. I basically did this already. He was played by Jack Prince. Now, Jack Prince played the guy at the rummage sale, as I said, that was wanting to know what that thing was and how much it cost and all that kind of stuff, right? So here's the actual quote. He said, how much is this, Andy? Oh, about $3. What do you suppose it is? Oh, if I knew that, it'd cost you $5. Sounds like a bargain. Yeah. One of those is nice to have, Andy said. The customer says, I always wanted one. And he goes, yeah. So that person was played by Jack Prince, who was the only was only credited in this episode as rummage sale customer. He didn't have his character name. The character on the episode was most likely either Luke Rayner, who he had played, Jack Prince, in the episode The Inspector, or maybe it was Ben Sewell, who he had played in Alcohol and Old Lace. So it wasn't until season 2, episode 12, when he started being Rafe Hollister. I always think of him as Rafe Hollister, even though I know he played Luke Rayner. We barely saw Luke Rayner. He basically just got marched out of the house. But we did see Ben Sewell, because he's like, Andy, I thought you was the law. That's it. So anyway, so that's Jack Prince, Rafe Hollister. So Lester Scobey's payment, just for you to remember, that he had missed in this episode was $52.50. So there's you some trivia to remember. $52.50. The rummage sale was to help raise $780, which would have been the full balance, because that's what Ben said. If you missed a payment, the full balance was due at $780 that he owed. All right, so finally we have Lester's daughter. We're going to talk about Joy Ellison here, about her. I'm looking for pictures here. For you folks that are not watching the video version of this, I always enjoy trying to get, for those that do watch, you get a little bit of extra something. So Joy Ellison was who played Mary Scobey, the daughter of Lester and Helen in this episode. And she played the character of Mary Wiggins, Opie's girlfriend, in the beauty contest. If you remember that, Floyd sings, "Hail to thee, Miss Mayberry," to her at the end of the episode. She was Effie Muggins in the Christmas Story episode. And she plays Betsy in Opie's most unforgettable character. Now, later in the series, season 8, episode 1, actually, Joy played a character named Iris in Opie's First Love. So, speaking of Joy, as a little, little teaser for next episode, we're probably going to do an episode where I interviewed her on the Mayberry cruise back in 2023. So we're going to talk to Joy and hear her memories of the Andy Griffith Show and her time on the set. So I hope you'll join us next week for that. And that is all the information I have from this particular episode of the Andy Griffith Show. All right, so now we're heading into the trivia section. So get out your pen and piece of paper, and let's get ready. Some trivia music. There's my trivia music. Here we are with our trivia. This week's episode's trivia is all about Andy Forecloses. So here's how we're going to do it. The first, at least some of these are going to be Who Said It? So you ready? Here we go. We got folks in our chat room playing along. If you would like to be in our chat rooms, you can join us at live.twochairsnowaiting.com, and that'll get you there, or you can just search around. You'll stream on Monday nights at 8 p.m. almost every week. There will be some weeks we miss, like for instance, if you're listening to this the week it comes out, next week it's going to be a premiere episode that night instead of live. But here we go. Question number 1, if you're ready. Question number 1. Chat rooms are ready, and I'm ready. So here we go. Question 1. Who said, if you close your eye like this, they work really good? Now remember, it's from this episode. If you close your eye like this, it works really good. All right, who said it? Okay, I'm going to give you some multiple choice just so you can try if you didn't get it already. But was it Andy, Barney, or Opie? If you close your eye like this, they work really good. The answer? It was Opie. And it was Opie when he had the broken sunglasses, right? I mentioned that, trying to give you a little heads up of what was coming, so that you'd know why or hear why he said it. But it was Opie when he had on his broken sunglasses that he was donating to the rummage sale. All right. Chat room did really well. I see a lot of them got it. Question number 2. Who says, I just can't believe that anybody could be as mean as Ben Weaver is making out. Who said that? Remember, they're all from this episode. Who said, you know, I just can't believe that anybody could be as mean as Ben Weaver is making out? The answer? It was Andy. Andy said it. That's right. Andy said it. He said it. All right. Question number 3. There's 10 questions, by the way. Question number 3. Who said, I call out there every now and then and sort of trouble check? This has got to be an easy one. I call out there every now and then and sort of trouble check. Who said it? Was it Ben Weaver, Lester Scobey, or Barney that said it? I didn't even give you multiple choice on that last one, did I? The answer is it was Barney that said that. All right, so complete this sentence. Complete this one. Andy said it, but this you got to complete it. Now, there's a man that's got blank. Complete the sentence. Now, there's a man that's got blank. Oh, remember, it's all from this episode. All right, so your options, if you haven't already gotten it, is problems, troubles, or everything. There's a man that's got the answer is everything. Man, folks in our chat rooms are doing very well on this. I see the answers floating in pretty well, so that's good. All right, number 5. Number 5. Who said, well, that's mighty nice of you, Andy, but I don't think it'll do any good? All right, who said that? Who said, well, that's mighty nice of you, Andy, but I don't think it'll do any good? Oh, that was a little harder. So I'll give you the multiple choice. Folks in our chat rooms are getting this. The options are Aunt B, Lester Scobey, or Ben Weaver. Who said it? The answer is Lester. Lester Scobey said that. Lester Scobey. Yep, Lester. Somebody in our chat room said Ben Scobey. That's not it. All right, number 6. Who said, this is more like it, Andy. Whatever made you wake up and do something? Who said that? Who said, this is more like it, Andy? Whatever made you wake up and do something? Wow, our chat room is on top of it. Was it Mary Scobey? Was it Barney? Or was it Ben Weaver that said that? The answer? It was Ben Weaver. Good job, everybody. So there's 10 points available. We probably ought to make it 2 points. Should be 20 points available. You get 2 points if you get it before I give you the multiple choice and 1 after. Maybe we should have done that, but it's too late. Number 7, the actor who played the Scobey's family reappeared in the Christmas Story as who? The actors who played the Scobey family play a different family in the Christmas Story. What are their names? The family's names. The family's last name. I gave it to you like 5 times during the show, so if you didn't get it, you weren't listening. The answer is they were the Muggins. They were the Muggins. Muggins family. All right, so you had to have gotten that one. Tell me you got that one right. Here we go. Number 8. And I told you this answer too. The rummage sale needs to raise how much money? The rummage sale needs to raise how much money? Okay. Was the answer $960, $780, or $440? The answer, if folks in the chat room are getting it right, is $780. 2 more questions to go. All right. This is a fill in the blank. And Andy said, when that man's time comes to go, he ain't going to go like everybody else. He's just going to blank away. He's just going to blank away. I think some of the people in the chat room wrote that down before I finished. They got it right. The answer, and I'm not going to read you the multiple choice on this. He's just going to nasty away. He's going to nasty away. That's right. All right. So I didn't read you. It was either wither, blow, or nasty. If you heard nasty, you'd have got it. Final question. Who says you ought to get a cane and a cigar and work at the carnival? Who says that? You ought to get a cane and a cigar and work at the carnival. Who said it? Was it Andy, Ben Weaver, or Barney? Who said it? It was Barney Fife. All right, so there you go. 10 questions, all related to this particular episode. I hope you did pretty well. It looks like our chat room did really well. They seem to have done well. So yeah, I'm happy for everybody, because I know that's it's always, it makes you feel good when you know the answers, doesn't it? It really does. So folks, it is so good to be here with you. We got a lot of great comments about the song we played the week between Christmas and New Year. So I'm going to play it again for us as we leave out of here. I'd love to hear from you. If you give me a call at 888-684-8415 or email me at floyd@imayberry.com. Since I mentioned about leaving me a note, here's a note I did receive. So we need to hear from this one. Let's hear this.
Hey, Allan, Dennis Rush calling from San Diego. Happy New Year to you and Jan. Just got a chance to see your holiday podcast from between Christmas and New Year's. What an honor to be in your top 10 video and audio podcast for 24. That was so much fun, and I'm humbled and honored that so many people enjoyed. I just spent the New Year in beautiful but snowy Colorado with Judy. We had a great time, but way too cold. Stay well, my friend, and looking forward to seeing you and all the good people in Granville in the next couple months. Thanks again. Good luck.
Wow, thank you, Dennis. Thank you so much. It's always fun. Now, remember, he was the number 4 video podcast, and I forgot what number on the audio, but you can go check it out. It's 2 Chairs No Waiting, 777. Opie's pal Howie, an interview with Dennis Rush. And thank you, Dennis. You deserved every bit of it. And great time with Howie, with Dennis. We're going to have him on the Mayberry Cruise again in 2025. So, hey, think about going with us. I think you would enjoy it. It's going to be a lot of fun. So thanks for taking time to do that. So if you'd like to call in like Dennis did, as I said, it's 888-684-8415, and give me a call and leave a message, or just send me an email, whatever you'd like to do to be able to get to me. I'd love to hear from you. So let's go and hear a Mayberry Smile as we leave out. And folks, I hope you have a great week, and we'll see you next week right here on 2 Chairs. On 2 Chairs No Waiting. This song, if I haven't mentioned it before, is by my friend Russell Estes. So let's hear from it.
It should have died out a long time ago. For a few that love this life, the tradition only grows. From Floyd's barbershop, the feeling still lives on. And should you need to make a call, get Sarah on the phone. They pour in their whole hearts to keep the memory alive. It's the tribute actors from a simpler time. They say maybe is more than a place. They say Mayberry will put a smile upon your face. It's more than just a place. It's a feeling that lives inside us each and every day. From the streets of Mount Airy, where you can see Aunt Bee, to the town square up in Scottsburg and in Granville, Tennessee. They come from all across the land and never bat an eye. The tribute actors of Mayberry will never let this die. It's Rick and Allan and Eric, James and Kenneth, and Bo. It's the fun girls down on Main Street that always steals the show. They pour in their whole hearts to keep the memory alive. It's the tribute actors from a simpler time. It's Mayberry. It's the people, not the place. It's Mayberry. It puts a smile on your face. It's Mayberry. It's the people, not the place. It's Mayberry. It puts a smile on your face.